Good morning. And welcome to watching me juggle all this stuff we have to juggle now. I'd like to welcome you to Unity of Joplin. We have a lot of people joining us today on Facebook. Hello everybody who is with us on Facebook. And on Zoom today we have, let's see, who do we have? We have Jerry Ellen, Candy, Mary Sue and Sarah, Novella, Susie, Rebecca. Hi everybody. We are glad to see you all with us here today. Let's see. You know, it's hard to know which way to face because we have the Zoom camera there, we have the Facebook camera there, and we have our musicians there and there. So if you see me going like this, that's why.
It's all good.
Anyway, if you're joining us for the first time, I'm looking at my phone so I can see if anybody comments. And I think I did this wrong because I can't see comments, but I will fix that. And Ann Leach.
Good morning.
Is with us today.
Good morning, everybody. I'm your platform assistant. Oh, yeah, I do have a mic, don't I? I'm your platform assistant today. My name is Ann, and we want to start with our social media check-in, right? But no, before we do that, we want to start with a huge rampage of appreciation and gratitude and congratulations for the officially, Reverend Gordon.
After we get together again, we will celebrate together because you've all been a part of this journey too, each and every one of you. I have never had a rampage of appreciation before. Didn't know whether to be happy or scared.
Well, that's one of the tools that Abraham Hicks talks about. At least 16 seconds of gratitude and appreciation changes our outlook and our chemical makeup. So I hope you're feeling the good vibes.
I am feeling the good vibes. I am feeling the vibes of everybody with us. I can now say hi to everybody. I think a bunch of you anyway out there on Facebook.
Awesome.
Can't see everybody, but the Myers family, Jefferson, Neely, and Sam. Hi guys. Kim, Barron, let's see, Neely, I already said Elizabeth.
Oh, good.
Who else have we got? Billy and Shayna.
I have to tell you.
And if there's anybody I missed, hi guys.
I've been missing Elizabeth's healthy food at Potluck.
Yes. We are going to, I have a special announcement coming up about that. So just hang in there with us. By the way, we are changing the order of service today a little bit so that we can get everything in there more streamlined and more efficient.
Okay. Let's do our social media check.
We should do that.
Okay. All right. So wherever you are, just grab your smartphone and dial it in with this message. I am good from the very beginning. I am good from the very beginning at Unity of Joplin. Okay.
And everywhere else.
Absolutely. All right.
And the Browns have joined us. Hi Browns, it's Toddy. Hi Toddy.
Good. All right, we want to once again give a rampage of appreciation to our music team.
Yes.
Oh, you guys, thank you so much for showing up. Rob, Gary, and Jerry, Marilyn's here, John, our fearless music leader. Thank you all. And of course, Michael's on the camera for us. So. Yeah. And except for us, we're pretty much social. Well, they're not doing so well with the social distancing, but we're working
We
on
did
it, guys.
sanitize.
That's right.
We all sanitized when we walked in the door.
Absolutely. All right.
Okay, let's do our first song, so you all can join us at home.
Do they need to stand up?
Only if they want to, we don't know.
This is the voice
about all the other churches around the world and in this country today who are also live streaming and Zooming their services and lifting up their voices in song. And we are grateful for that opportunity and to be here with you this morning. And to give us a chance to express that gratitude, we would like to focus on our giving and tithing time right now. So I'll invite you to take your gifts, the checks that you need to write, cash that you need to set aside. Just call that forward to you now. And we will bless this together. We're going to invite you to share these gifts and tithes online through our safe and secure website. You can just go to unityofjoplin.org and there is a donate button there. And again, it is safe and secure, but if you're concerned about that, you can always mail the check in right here to the office, and we appreciate it. So we're just going to do our offering blessing together. Just taking that deep breath of gratitude, knowing that the abundance of God is all around us. And let's bless this together. In a universe overflowing with the fullness of God, all the needs of the unity of Joplin and those we serve are bountifully met. From every direction, known and unknown, expected and unexpected, our abundant good is here now. Thank you, God. Amen. We'd also like to have a chance to virtually hug you and say hello. And so, Gordon, do you want them to respond to a question or something in the chat box? Or what would you like them to do?
Let me see. Well, we were going to go into announcements, but yes, you can put anything you want in the chat box or anything. Just want to say hi to some more people who have joined us. Carolyn and Reverend Nita Strauss from Tucson, Arizona, my mentor through the process of moving to ordination. And she was supposed to be with us here in person today, but she's with us here virtually. Nita, good morning. We love you, and glad you are here joining us today.
And thanks for your part in making that happen.
Yes, and the celebration part will happen. We don't know when, but it will happen. Let's see, who else is joining us? Lou is with us, and probably Charlene too. Hi, guys.
Good morning.
Glad you are here with us. So nice to see so many people joining us online. As I said earlier, we do feel your presence.
Yes, absolutely.
And we do affirm that there will come a time when we gather together live and in person again. Sure. I guess now we are going to move into announcements. We thought we did this out of the way early in the service so we could have more time to focus on other things. So, Anne, you got any announcements?
I just have announcements written as the word. I don't have any real announcements, except that I know you wanted to say something about our daily Zoom and Facebook check-in.
Yes, we do have, I am doing a daily Zoom call. This may be the Zoom call today. Not a Zoom call, I'm sorry. A Facebook, live Facebook call. Usually I've been doing it at about 8:30 in the evening, but now that my life is about to get back to the new normal, I will have a little more time. And I invite you to send me a text on my cell phone, 417-680-6262. Or you can email it to me, gordon@unityofjoplin.org. Let me know what time would work best for you for a live Facebook chat for about 15 minutes or so every day. Just a little time of checking in with each other, maybe some prayer and some tips and guidelines, whatever. It won't be very long, so it won't take up a good chunk of the day, but let me know what time works best, and we'll see if we can find a common time for everybody.
I'm also planning on Mondays around 9 p.m. to do a little meditation for the week, just to kind of get our week off to a good start. So that will be through Facebook Live as well.
And we are putting putting stuff on Facebook. John has been putting some wonderful music mixes to lift your spirits. So, you know, keep an eye on the Facebook page. We are, I would say we're actually more active now than we've been before all this happened. It's really cool, and I can't wait to do it here with all of you in the flesh. The other thing is, many of you, more of you have joined us on Zoom, and Zoom is a way we will be continuing to broadcast even once all this has passed. It is an opportunity we will be teaching classes on Zoom too. But if you haven't gotten on Zoom yet, make sure you are on our email list. Just, if you're not, send us an email and we'll get you on there, and you'll get the information. You'll get a Zoom link, and then you will, when you get that, you'll click on the link, you'll enter the code, and you will have to download Zoom. It'll ask you to download it. It's a simple process. Just follow the prompts, and when the Zoom meeting is, you'll get a code, you'll enter that code, and you'll be in, live and in person. And we want you to remember something, though, that if you are on Zoom and you give permission to see your cameras, I see so many people there have, remember, we can see you too. Just something to think about. And the other thing is, I shared this in the e-letter if you read it. Easter Sunday is a couple Sundays from now. I don't really think we will be together in person yet. Easter is about resurrection. It's about new life. It's about rebirth. And so I was inspired by a fellow Unity minister, and what we are doing in many Unity churches is we're going to have an Easter Sunday service, online of course, but our real Easter celebration will be when we are together again. I'm feeling the energy of that. When we are together again, we will celebrate the resurrection, the rebirth of coming together in person, in spirit. And I don't know yet what it'll look like, but it will be a big event. It will be a great time together. There will be food, there will be music, there will be singing, there will be dancing. I don't know if there will be dancing, there might be. But it will
There
be
will be
great.
chocolate.
There will be chocolate, yes. There will be chocolate. So keep that in mind. And of course, once we know when we are back together, you'll know. And yes, we will be here live on Easter Sunday with a service as well. The other thing is, now it is time to greet your neighbor. Of course, we can't do that in person, but put something in the chat box, put something on Zoom, and say hi to each other.
Hi, everybody on Facebook.
Virtual hugs to all of you. But for now, let's take another deep centering breath and I'll share the daily word. So perfect for today. It's inner peace. I find the peace of God in the silence within me. The Hebrew scriptures tell the story of the word of the Lord commanding the prophet Elijah to, quote, stand on the mountain before the Lord, for the Lord is about to pass by. As he waits, Elijah fails to find God as he endures a wind strong enough to split mountains, an earthquake, and then a fire. Then Elijah discovers God in the sound of sheer silence. Sometimes chaos surrounds me as I try to find the peace of God. Other times the chaos may be inside me. I persist in my efforts as I confront inner storms, fires, and earthquakes as I search for peace. Like Elijah, I remain steadfast in faith, undisturbed by what is happening around me. I wait for distractions to pass. Peace is mine. I wait for distractions to pass. Peace is mine. And from 1 Kings 19:12, and after the earthquake a fire, but the Lord was not in the fire, and after the fire a sound of sheer silence. I find the peace of God in the silence within me.
Wow.
Wow.
You know, that song has special meaning to me. I remember the very first Sunday I ever walked into a Unity church, more years ago than I'm going to tell you. I was young, I was, how old was I? Maybe 20? And that song was played. That was the gathering song that day. And then the very first time I ever went to Unity Village, that same year, as a matter of fact, that was the theme song of the retreat I went to. And what an interesting song for these times. Maybe we're not feeling so free right at the moment. We don't have the freedom just to go out and go to a restaurant or go to a movie or many of those activities that we took for granted so much. But we are free, and we are unlimited in the truest sense of the word. So I invite you to, wherever you may be, close your eyes. Take a deep, cleansing breath. And allow those words to sink into your very heart. I I am free. I am unlimited. There are no chains that bind me. I may be stuck at home, but I am free. I am unlimited. I may not be able to go to my office, to my place of employment, but I am free. I am unlimited. I may not be able to gather with my friends in person, my family, but I am free. I am unlimited. Because I am a child of God. I am the Christ unfolding. I am the light, the love, the health, the energy of God. I am free. I am unlimited. Breathing into oneness with God. I am free to be me. I am free to find ways to express not just my divinity, but my talents, my gifts, my passions. I am unlimited. For maybe the first time in years, I am free to have time. Time to do it. Time to pray. Time to meditate. Time to read. Time to explore. Time to learn. I am unlimited. I am free in this moment when the earth has said, humans, stop your running around. Stop your busyness. Stop. Go into your closets. Go into your closets and find yourself again. Find the real you. And so, God, I open myself up to the real me, the truth of my being, the me I came here to be in this time. I open myself up because I am free of the distractions. I am free of all those things that took so much of my time and energy. I am free to be me. I am unlimited. I am unlimited. There are so many things that I can be open to and explore and have the time and the peace to absorb. I have chosen to live in this time when we have this gift of infinite knowledge at our fingertips. I can use those tools of internet and social media, not for dwelling on the negative, but for exploring new subjects, gaining new inspiration. I can download any book that has ever been written just about and read it. Listen to any music that has ever been recorded. And moreover, I can share my gifts. I can share my gifts from the comfort of my own home, my own yard, maybe from a park. I am free like I have never been free before. I am unlimited. And I have the opportunity to rise up to a new way of being. And God, in this moment, I know that this is but a moment of preparation. Wouldn't it be amazing if this time of isolation just happens to be 40 days and 40 nights? I know that 40 is a symbolic number, and however long it is the same as those 40 days that Jesus spent in the wilderness, or the 40 years that Moses and the Israelites wandered. It is a time of rest, a time of learning, a time of preparation. For what, God? I may not know for what exactly at this moment, but I know that it is a time of preparation to enter into a promised land, a new land, a new way of being. It is a time of preparation like it was for Jesus, for me to prepare to go out once again and share new gifts, new realizations, and new learnings. This dark night of the soul is a time of rest and renewal. And God, in this moment, I rest. In this moment, I rest in that knowing that I am unlimited. And as I prepare to go into the silence, I make a space in that unlimited area. I make a space to receive inspiration, comfort, and assurance. I receive in the silence. And so, having made that place, I feel the presence of the Christ. The presence of the Christ that is the truth of my being, my light, my love, my passion. The truth of that Christ that binds me across time and space to my loved ones, my fellow human beings, to all of creation, and to God. Truly I am free and I am unlimited. I hold that to be my mantra this week. I am free and I am unlimited. There are no chains that bind me. As I prepare for that rebirth, that resurrection, that is even now speeding ever closer. Thank you, God, for your indwelling presence, for this time of rest, renewal, and preparation. For walking with me, in me, and through me, in this desert. In this desert that will bloom again with new life. I am free, I am unlimited, right here, right now. And so it is. Amen. hearts popping up on the chat box here. Hi, Steve. Steve has joined us. Sherry has joined us. Carolyn has joined us. Hi, everybody. Good to see you all. Anybody else here on Zoom? Just our usual crowd. Hi, everybody again. Aren't we blessed to have such beautiful music? Yes. I'm going to do a set change here. It'd be really cool if we had a commercial. We could cut to a commercial. Get ready here, everybody. Alright, oops. Not quite alright. Hang on, we're almost there. You know, the neat thing about all of this is we are learning new ways of doing things. Sometimes they work really good, and sometimes they're a bit of a challenge. I'm going to put my down for a minute. There we go. There it is. Alrighty, we are ready to rock and roll. And because I know you all are sitting at home drinking your coffee, I'm going to have a cup of coffee too. It's kind of neat we can do that. Whew. Well, here we are. We are continuing, those of you who are joining us for the first time, in an effort to be as near normal in these times as we can be. We are continuing our series on the Universal Christ. And if you missed us the last couple of weeks, the Universal Christ series is based on the book by Father Richard Rohr, who is somebody I have had the privilege of sitting and talking to on quite a few occasions. And he's quite a human being. He has created a conference center, a study center, a living curriculum called the Center for Action and Contemplation in Albuquerque, New Mexico. He's been on Oprah many times, and his books have been mentioned by her and on her book thing she does that went totally out of my head at the moment. It's a little different talking to an electronic audience than a physical audience. But we do have some physical, yes. He's a humanitarian, a Franciscan priest. He has written the books Falling Upward, The Naked Now, The Divine Dance, and as I said, he runs the Center for Action and Contemplation and has done work throughout the world. But moreover, he is a mystic and a true metaphysician, at the same time being a Catholic and a Franciscan. He's one of us. He's a Renaissance person. His mission is to return Jesus to humanity and the Christ to humans. And that's what this series is about. Returning Jesus to humanity, discovering who Jesus was as a human being, and returning the Christ to humans. Taking the Christ from being an idea of one person in history who was different than everybody else, to an idea of a man, Jesus, modeling something that everybody has. So that is where we are at. In this process, we are learning how to become Christ's expression, how to become once again that light of God, the salt of the earth that Jesus spoke of. So today's lesson is entitled Original Goodness. Original goodness. We could say also original blessing, but as we're going to discover, original goodness and original blessing are two different things. They are close, but they are different. And we're going to clarify what the two of those things are. So one of the first things we have to understand is, what is the Christ? What is the Christ? As I said, it was not just one person in history. Most of you know or are aware by now that Jesus Christ was not his name. It was Yeshua Bar Yosef. Christ was a title that was attached to him as time went on, long after he had left this earth. But what is the Christ, if it wasn't a man in history? The Christ is the light of God that is you, the spark of divinity that is you. We say the Christ within. It is in here. This fleshly body, this meat body, is the vessel we use to move through this life. It is not who we are. It is not what we are. We are children of God. And it doesn't matter what religion, race, nationality, gender identity, sexual orientation, color of our hair, or anything else. We are all children of God, children of the beloved. So that is the Christ. How did we get so far away from that idea, though? What did we do that got us off course? Well, none of us in this room went anything. I have not been advancing the slides. I just noticed that's Father Richard Rohr. That is the Center for Action and Contemplation in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Meanwhile, back in our lesson, what is the Christ? How did we get so far off track? Well, it's quite a story. And we have to start at the beginning. Genesis. Genesis 1. The story in Genesis 1 is about how God creates the earth and everything upon it. And if you listen to the story, you'll notice that he says 5 times, I counted, 5 times, he says, and it was good. When he creates man, he says it is very good. When he creates humans, it is very good. And then what happens in Genesis 3? We have Genesis 1, where God creates the earth and everything on it. Genesis 2 is essentially the story of God creating humanity. Metaphysically, it is the story of moving from an idea to a manifestation. Genesis 1 is the idea, Genesis 2 is the manifestation. But Genesis 3, it gets sticky. Because in Genesis 3, what happens? The serpent shows up and tempts Eve, and Eve eats the apple, and Adam eats the apple, and it all goes to hell from there. Or at least starts heading in the direction of hell from there. According to people who misunderstood the story. First, a few points of clarification. It was not the devil that tempted Eve, it was a serpent. And to the people of the times these stories were written, serpents represented something different. They represented knowledge. They had the caduceus, that the doctors have on their staffs and things like that. And it was never an apple. It just said the fruit of the tree of knowledge. It was not an apple. So go ahead and eat apples, it's okay. And what happened through time is the movement that became Christianity shifted their focus from Genesis 1 and 2 and began the story with Genesis 3. With the fall. Oh, the fall. Let me ask you a question. What would have happened if Adam and Eve had remained stuck in the garden? Nothing. Nothing. The story would have ended right there. The Edenic state, the Garden of Eden, what we call the Edenic state, is a state of happy, easy, wonderful, and no movement. It's a static state. There's no growth, there's no evolution, and God's universe is created to evolve, and that means we are created to evolve and grow. You cannot do that in the Garden of Eden. You had to get out and do something. So this idea of the fall, it wasn't a fall. It was, here's the tools you need. Go out and co-create with me. Go out and co-create with me. I always thought, even when I was a little kid and I heard this story of Adam and Eve in the garden and the fruit of the tree of knowledge, why the heck would you put a tree in the middle of the garden with 2 people and tell them you could have everything in the garden but that tree? Anybody have children? What happens if you tell your children you can eat anything in the refrigerator but that? Don't eat that apple. Yeah, what's going to happen? Yeah. very intentional. So what happened is, as Christianity evolved as a movement, it started with the third chapter of Genesis instead of with the first and the second. Had it started with the first and second, it would have been good and very good. Whole different story. Whew, there's a lot there, isn't there? It also says in Genesis 1, there's a sentence that we kind of miss. And it says, and God hovered over the waters. God hovered over creation. What is hovering? Hovering is what a mother hen does. Something that loves its creation, that nurtures it, that protects it, that feeds it, that empowers it. We've begun the story in the wrong place. And we're going back to the beginning to understand how the story really should have unfolded. Father Richard Rohr wrote that beginning with Genesis 3 was the beginning of the fall of Christianity. Powerful, powerful words. Christianity was meant to raise us up, not push us down. It was meant to empower us, not teach us that we are some worms doomed to suffer, and maybe if we get it just right, we can go to heaven when we die. That's not what it was about. That's not what Jesus was about. So where did this idea then of original sin come in? You know, Adam and Eve, yeah, well, there's the first sin. Oh boy, and we're doomed from them on. Even when I was a child, I thought, how can a loving father condemn all these generations of humanity because of the mistake of one person who was really set up, if you think about it. If you think about that story. It doesn't make sense. So how did this happen? Well, there's a couple people in history that we can give the credit to that for, or the blame, whichever. And one of them was a bishop of Lyon named Irenaeus. Now, Irenaeus is considered the father of Christianity. He was the one who first began to come up with arguments that would eventually be solidified at the Council of Nicaea. And he really, you know, when I say we can blame him, I don't blame him. It was part of the process, part of our evolutionary journey. Maybe we had to go through that experience. But what happened was, he came up with this idea because he misread a passage. And he was also, there was a lot of turmoil in the early followers of Jesus in the different communities that would come to be called churches. Everyone had their own idea of what it was Jesus was trying to teach. And there was a group called the Gnostics. Essentially, we in Unity are modern Gnostics. And their understanding, quite honestly, was kind of difficult for people. I mean, let's face it, metaphysics is a difficult subject. And it's not for everyone. And so he had this fight going on with the Gnostics of his day, and said, well, you know, this isn't going to work. And what happened was, he came up with this idea that we are here on this earth to be tested. We have a 70, 80-year window. It probably wasn't that long in those days to get it right. And if we don't get it right, that's it. And of course we know that's not the truth. But that was how he saw the world. And that is what began to evolve in the consciousness of the movement that would become Christianity. He wrote this. Paul wrote this. This is the passage he misread. Paul wrote that death came to humanity because of Adam's sin, but life came to humanity through the Christ. In the King James it says through Christ. Very intentional removal of the word the. Okay. To really understand where we're coming from with this, how this happened, we have to first understand the times that Paul lived and wrote in, and the person who Paul was. Paul is a very misunderstood person. Paul was brilliant. He was a true Renaissance person. He'd been a tent maker, a tax collector. He had, a in the hierarchy of the temple. He had so many roles in his life. He was very well traveled. And he had the unique ability to talk to different people based on their culture. And that's why sometimes when you read Pauline letters, you'll see contradictions between them. And you go, well, what was going on here? Well, he was talking to different cultures and different groups of people. And the Romans that he wrote this letter to, where he said this, were very Hellenistic in their thinking. And so what he was saying when he said that death came to humanity because of Adam's sin, but life came to humanity through the Christ, he was saying the death of ideas, the death of growth, the death of knowing that Christ within came to us through Adam's sin. Adam being consciousness, our consciousness, not a guy who lived a couple thousand years ago. Adam represents the intellect, the unformed, innocent, pure, and easily led astray intellect. But through the Christ knowledge, the Christ that is within us, we can become once again aware of life, of that idea that there are no chains that bind us, that we are free to grow and be and explore, that we are meant to be more than we have become. Adam man is lower consciousness. Christ man is the enlightened consciousness, the enlightened human being, the living consciousness that is growing and learning and expanding and shining brighter all of the time. So you begin to see how these misinterpretations impacted all of human history. Well, Augustine then took this idea a little further and came up with this idea of a wrathful God, a vengeful God, a judgmental God, a father that could not be pleased. And we all have heard stories where maybe had that unfortunate experience. Ironically, most of the world's other religions never went to that place. You look at the other religions in the world and they start with the premise that humanity is created good. That the Creator is loving and non-judgmental. Buddhism teaches the only thing that holds us back is our attachment to the outer, the world of illusion. Jesus said the same thing. What do we focus our attention on? What happened? How did we get so far off? How did we get away from that message of the early prophets, of Jesus himself, that you are here to grow and evolve and be, you are beloved of God. You are children of the Most High. Wow, you are gods and goddesses. Jesus was sitting one day with Pharisees and they were debating. And he said, guys, your own writings and Psalms and Proverbs, they all say, do you not know that you are children of God? Do you not know that you are gods and goddesses, children of the Most High? He was reminding them of the truth that they had forgotten. Well, what happened through all of this? We shrunk the image of the Christ. From a universal cosmic Christ that is in all humanity and all of creation to something that was only in one person. And in so doing, we diminished that one person. We took Jesus from this great, powerful teacher who spent at least 3 years teaching. I suspect it was actually longer. It was only 3 years that was recorded. I suspect it was longer than that. We took this wonderful soul that came to teach us and show us the truth of who we are, and we changed it into a person who went through 3 days of torment and suffering and death, and we made it all about that. And we lost everything else he said when we focused on that. Oh yeah, we quote him and we say we believe in all of that, but how many of us really look anywhere except at the 3 days that we call Easter, the Easter experience, the Holy Week? I don't think that week was all that holy, to tell you the truth. And I'm glad nobody could actually throw anything at me here. So commenting, let's see. Anybody saying anything? Yes. My question exactly. Okay, nobody's throwing anything at me. because it talks about this. Job, if you're familiar with the story, or if you're not, just to summarize it, Job was this guy very devout, very pious, very passionate, and also very worried. He was a worrywart. This guy really lived in the world. You know, if he was here in these times, he would be the one, oh, this is terrible, this negative stuff, and yeah, it's going on. But we don't have to internalize it. But Job internalized everything. He loved God, he was very religious, and he was scared to death that he wasn't good enough. And worse yet, because he wasn't good enough, he hadn't raised his children to be good enough, and because of the way they were behaving, they were teenagers, I'm sure, the way they were behaving, God was going to punish him. So, level 1 in Job. Job is in each and every one of us. Level 1, I am not good enough. I can never be good enough to please God. That leads to that which I fear has come upon me. Thoughts held in mind produce after their kind. So what happened to Job? Of course he lost everything. He lost his wealth, he lost his possessions, he lost his home, he lost his family. That which I fear has come to me. Two steps. And then, in this dark night of the soul that he is going through, people come and try to save him. They come and try to tell him how he should be. Oh, you need to pray more, Job. You need to do penance. You need to do all of this. God is punishing you, Job. Sound familiar? We go through the same thing. And finally, Job has this realization, and listen to what he says. He says, I have understanding as well as you. I am not inferior to you. Who does not know such things as these? I may be a laughingstock to my friends who called upon God, I who called upon God, and he answered me. I may be just a blameless man, but I am a laughingstock to my neighbors, to those who look at me. And those who are at ease in this moment have contempt for my misfortune. But it is ready for those whose feet are unstable. The tents of the robbers are at peace, and those who provoke God are secure, who bring their God in their hands. But let me ask you, let me tell you, ask the animals, they will teach you. Ask the birds of the air, and they will tell you. Ask the plants of the earth, and they will show you. And the fish of the sea will declare to you, who among all of these does not know that the hand of the Lord has done this? In his hand is the life of every living thing and the breath of every human being. Job realized that at this moment, at the very worst of his experience, God was there. God was within him. He realized that all that was left for him was to sit among the plants and the bird and listen to the birds and feel the wind on his face. When all was gone but that, he realized that in the midst of it, God was still there. He knew the truth. That in the midst of imperfection, there is perfection. In the midst of turmoil and chaos and loss, there is perfection. There is goodness. You see, God, unlike humans, is not bound by this idea that the world revolves around us, that we are the center of creation. And let's be honest, as much as we say we're not, in our experience we are. All of the universe is around us in this experience. It has to be. It's the only way we can have this experience. But we can also know that God is greater than that. That there is infinite possibility and that we are but a part of something greater. And we can show up in many diverse ways and have different images of growth and understanding and manifestation. You know, in the courtyard, in the backyard, in the center of action and contemplation there on the screen is this tree. I have sat under that tree. It's an amazing tree. Richard Rohr writes about it in his book, The Universe of Christ. It is twisted, it is gnarled, it is misshapen. It's 150 years old. If you're wondering, it's a cottonwood tree. And there's a majesty and a beauty and a power in this tree. In the summer, it is filled with leaves and birds. It's a living, breathing thing. And it is not perfect. It is, in fact, imperfect. But there is perfection in it. And that is the power of that tree. The power, in and of itself, is a work of art. It is a lesson. It is a sermon. That tree right there. Because it shows us original goodness. That's the difference between original blessing and original goodness. Original blessing is how we are created. It is the vision, it is the pattern, it is the form, it is the truth of who we are and what we can do and what we live in. Original goodness is within us, even in our imperfection, even in our growing edges. It's a word we hear a lot in unity. What is your growing edge? I got that all last week in the ministerial interviews and stuff for ordination. Told me about your growing edge. And I finally came up after years of being asked that question with the perfect answer. You know, because that question is, okay, so I have to get real honest and real about what is my growing edge. And we all have our growing edges. I got mine. But you know what the perfect answer to that question is? Every edge I have is my growing edge. Every area, no matter how good I may be in it, can be better. And those areas where I am imperfect, where I am twisted and gnarly, there is still original goodness in it. And that is the beauty of the teachings of Jesus and every great master that ever lived. That original goodness is our nature. We are created with original blessing. Original goodness is our nature. You are good. We are not sinners. Oh, we may make mistakes. We may sin. A sin is just a word. It means to make a mistake or miss the target. We do it. But it is because we are blessed originally and that we are good in our core that we are not bound by those sins. We are not limited by those sins. So we step out of the garden like Adam and Eve did into the world of experience, into the world of growing, of learning, of being. And we become more than we have been. So I'm going to ask those of you in the audience and those of you out there in Facebook land and here on Zoom, give me some of your ideas. What is it that you are growing through? What is it that you are learning? Just a couple minutes here. I'm going to unmute, or I'm going to ask Keyler to unmute our Zoom people here, so we can hear them. Anybody out there in Facebook land have any ideas? What is your gnarliness that you are growing on?
This is Susie, and I'm just growing in my authentic self.
Okay, Susie is growing in her authentic self. Thank you, Susie.
This is Candy, and I'm growing in my vulnerable self.
Oh yes, growing, recognizing our vulnerabilities, those places where we need to grow, where we are being invited to grow. Yes. Come on, Facebook people. I don't see anything happening in the chat box here. Oh, you may be a few seconds behind. There is a little bit of a delay on the Facebook feed. Who else? Anybody here in the room? Jerry.
It's always been this way in my life. The things that I was the most deficient in, I worked the hardest on, and I actually am better at that than some of the stuff that I was deficient on. Does that make sense?
Here, yeah, Mike. You say it. Turn your mic on.
No, I just discovered in my life 69 next month, but every year I feel that my music grows. It has never stopped growing. Even strength and everything. It's just amazing that it never stopped growing. And I think that's one of the things we never should stop growing. You know, you got to keep, even something you're really good at, you can get better and better and better until you go into the sky or whatever it is.
That's right. Even the things we're good at, we can get better and better and better.
Speaking of growing, Kim Barron says, growing in knowledge that makes sense to me.
Wonderful. Thank you, Michael. Kim, and thank you, Kim. Kim said, growing in knowledge. What does that mean, sister?
Growing in letting go of what doesn't serve me.
Oh, yes. Letting go of what doesn't serve us. No, I think that's a lot of what is happening in this experience we are having in our world right now. Is humanity is being invited to let go of what hasn't served us or what is no longer serving us. I read something, I think I shared it online the other night. We are being invited to become skilled at things we were never skilled at before in this experience. Actually, that was a quote of Myrtle Fillmore's, I believe. I don't have it in front of me, so I can't say it exactly, but she said the best thing that can happen to us is when we are pushed to learn new things, to grow in areas that we are not proficient in, to investigate, to explore new boundaries. I almost said new civilizations. To boldly go where we have never gone before. So, thank you everybody for sharing. So what is our role? What is our role to reclaim this Christ project that Richard Rohr labels it? The Christ project, because that is what we are doing. Our role is to become Christ's ourselves. We are Christ, but to more fully express it. That's what Jesus meant when he said, all of these things that I do, you will do and more when you believe me. So our role is to start from the point of original goodness instead of original sin. Start from Genesis 1 and 2 instead of Genesis 3. Genesis 3 was an event that happened, but it begins with original goodness. It begins with, it is good and very good. We can reclaim Jesus as an inclusive teacher rather than an exclusive teacher. An inclusive teacher. We can reclaim him as the way shower, our elder brother, our inspiration, our model. We can accept the Christ as the perfect creation of God, which is all of creation. Charles Whitmore said that Christ is the only begotten child of God. The only thing God ever made was the Christ that is in all of creation, that is all of creation, because the Creator is in creation. We are a part of that. No matter how gnarly or bent or strange we may look or act, original goodness is within each and every one of us. And with each experience we have, we move closer to becoming the Christ in expression. Namaste.
Okay, you guys, I hope that you, well, in fact, if you haven't, do it right now. Just take a moment to type into the chat one aha that you got from today's service, okay? Because I'm going to go back and review your comments. And you know the one I'm stuck on? Talk about going back to the beginning. I had this aha of the serpent representing knowledge, right? And eating the apple. Maybe that's why our kids take apples to the teacher to show that they've received the knowledge. How about it, right? Speaking of our kids, let's bless them. I don't know if Sam and Jennifer are sitting with you all Yes, yes, good. All of our kids, and even our inner kid, right? Let's give that blessing to all of them. And I'm missing Kelsey this morning. Yeah.
I called her, but she was sleeping, I think.
Yeah, that's okay.
Trying to get her up.
That's okay. So we just know that children, you are a perfect child of God, and God and I love you
just the way you